ready for another lesson. I'll be right down. Hello, it's me, Thurston Owl the Third. When Jonah ran away from God, a fish came and swallowed him up until Jonah came to his senses. Today, you will learn that when God calls us, we should be faithful to answer. Isn't that a hoot? I'll catch you later, boys and girls.
Hey everybody! Welcome to today's service. I have some funny fishing jokes for you today. Okay, what is the richest fish in the world? Goldfish. Yeah. All right. How do you communicate with a fish? You drop it a line. Get it? Fishing line? Okay. What do you call a fish without the eye? Get it? No eye? That's funny. All right. Well, I'll catch you later, everybody.
Deep down there in the belly of a big old fish, there sat a man who tried to run and do as he wished. Was told to go to Nineveh and spread God's word, but he tried to hide from God and then the story occurred. Take heed, all my students, and listen well to the greatest fishing story you could ever tell. Go, go! Just go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Just go, Jonah, go, go! Just go, Jonah, go, go! Jonah, just go. Now the people there in Nineveh were wicked mean. God sent Jonah there to prophesy the unseen. That God destroyed the city in 40 days. But Jonah hopped a ship for the opposite way. So God sent a storm, he was thrown into the sea. Silly old Jonah learned from God you can't flee. Go! Just go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Jonah, just go! He bobbed up and down to swallow up Jonah so the man would drown. Inside that great fish he was stuck for 3 days until he asked forgiveness and corrected his ways. Then the fish spit him out right there on dry land, and he went on to Nineveh just like God commanded. Go, go! Just go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Go, Jonah, go, go! Jonah, just go.
Hi, my name's Annette. Last week, my husband Nathan told you that we just moved here from Missouri, and he talked about camping. I'm going to talk about hiking today, which is something I love to do, but I don't mean just the easy on the trail kind of hiking. I mean, how many of you have gone off the trail hiking, where you're climbing over fallen trees and up steep cliffs? That kind of hiking can be a really fun adventure. You have more opportunities to see something amazing when you go off the path. But you also have a better chance of getting lost, right? Well, I remember the first time that I went off the trail hiking. I was in the woods for 9 days with this group of people. We had no electronics or maps or anything to get us where we needed to go. So how were we going to do it? Well, our leaders on the very first day taught us something that every wise hiker knows how to do. They taught us how to use one of these, a compass. A compass is magnetized and it always shows you where north is. Knowing where north can be really good just for knowing where you are, but also telling you where you need to go. So when it was my turn to lead the group, which is a little scary, I would check my compass all the time to see if we were going in the right direction or if I had gone a little bit off track. Even if it was rainy or dark or just hard to see, the compass would always tell me the right way to go. In the same way, God has a path planned for your life. And just like a compass points where north is, He will always tell you the way to go. Now, it's up to you to choose this way. If you do choose to go your own way, God may not step in and stop you like He did for Jonah in our story today. But if you let Him, God will always help you find your way back, just like this compass. God has big plans for your life. Listen to His voice and follow where He leads you.
Water Wars Revenge. This game is played like the normal card game of war, except the loser is doused with a cup of water. The first to win 4 rounds is deemed the winner and gets to dump a pitcher of water on the other person. Daniel, our returning champion, looks to score yet another victory, while Drew looks to dethrone the returning champ. What will happen next?
That just doesn't stop.
I love my cereal, my cereal.
All right, everyone, it is time to memorize our Bible verse for this lesson. Now, we've had this Bible verse for a few weeks now, and as you can see, it's kind of short. So it shouldn't be super difficult to memorize this verse. And once you have this verse memorized, video yourself reciting this verse and send me that video by text, by email, on Facebook, or show up on my doorstep, knock on my front door, recite this verse, and you can win an awesome box of cereal of your choosing. All right, now even though this is a short verse, we're going to go ahead and put some motions with it to help you remember how it goes. And here's what it says. It says, "My children, come, listen to me. I will teach you to have respect for the Lord." And that comes from the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 11. Memorize that verse.
On the road of life, there are 2 ways to go. You can choose abundant life, or say, whatever dude, we'll see how it goes. Now I don't know about you, I just know about me. And I know what to do if I wanna be free. I'm following Jesus, Jesus, I'm following Jesus, Jesus. Down the road we go, it's really rather odd. We can play it safe and slow, or fly through life with God. Oh, I don't I just wanna be free. So I'm gonna walk by faith. I'm following Jesus. Jesus. I'm following Jesus. Jesus. I'm following Jesus. Jesus. I'm following Jesus. Jesus. Lord, you made me unique, and I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I want your word, your joy, your plan for me. I'm following Jesus. 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 I'm following 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 Jesus. Jesus.
Some of the greatest campfire storytellers are fishermen. Ask a fisherman about the biggest fish that he's ever caught, and he'll tell you about a whopper that was so big it almost sank his boat. Ask him about the one fish that got away, and that fish story will probably get even bigger. See, fishermen around the world are known for their wild tales, and they've given us stories about sea creatures and sea serpents and lake monsters and giant whales. And they've had brushes with death or near-death experiences because of a giant fish they tried to reel in. Now, sure, there probably is some truth to these tales, but it's also true that fishermen love to exaggerate. I can only imagine the way that people must have reacted and responded to today's story when Jonah came home from his adventures. See, Jonah was a prophet of God, one of the chosen people who brought messages from God to the world. And one day, God called Jonah and asked him to deliver a message to the people of Nineveh. Now, Jonah knew Nineveh was a wicked city full of bad people. And even more, the people of Nineveh had caused endless trouble for Jonah and his people. So what did Jonah do? Well, he ran to the docks, he got on a boat, and he headed the opposite direction. And Jonah wasn't the first person or the last to run away from God. But what happened next was so unbelievable, so unforgettable, so crazy, that it makes fishermen probably jealous to think, well, that could have been my story. Check out this story from Jonah, chapter 1 and 2.
The word of the Lord came to Jonah. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it because of its wickedness that's come before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain went down to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us, and we will not perish." Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots and find who is responsible for this calamity." They cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So they asked him, "Tell us, who is responsible for making all this trouble for us? What do you do? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you?" He answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven who made sea and land." This terrified them, and they asked, "What have you done?" They knew he was running away from the Lord because he'd already told them so. The sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, "What should we do to you so that the sea will calm down?" "Pick me up and throw me in the sea," he replied, "and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you." Instead, the men did their best to row back to land, but they could not, for the sea grew even wilder than before. Then they cried to the Lord, "O Lord, please do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, O Lord, have done as you pleased." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. But the Lord provided a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was inside the fish 3 days and 3 nights. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God and said, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the depths of the grave I called for help, and he listened to my cry. You have hurled me into the deep, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me, and the deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down, and the earth beneath barred me in forever. But you brought me up from the pit, O Lord my God. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols forfeit the grace that could be theirs. But I, with this song of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed I will make good. Salvation comes from the Lord." And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. "Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim to it the message I give you."
God had a plan. Jonah didn't like God's plan. God chose Jonah to follow that plan, but Jonah wasn't having anything to do with it. And Jonah didn't just stay home. He actually tried to run away from God's plan. He thought he could outrun God. But God was there the whole way. And even as Jonah ran away from God, God had his eye on him. So God sent a terrible storm to stop Jonah's escape. And then he sent a giant fish to save him from drowning in the sea. Now, 3 days may not seem like a big deal. But imagine being under the sea inside of a giant, stinking fish mouth for 3 days. So Jonah had a lot of time to think while sitting inside that fish. And he realized he made a mistake. And he asked God to set him on the right course. Jonah wrote his story down, not only to share his wild adventure, but also to offer a little wisdom. The message of the story is simple. Don't run from God. God has a plan for you, and is better than any plan you'll ever make on your own. Follow God's direction. Follow, don't question. And God will lead you on a great adventure. Now, I suppose Jonah's story wouldn't have been adventurous if he just listened. But it's far less likely he would have taken the time to write the story down for us. But as much as Jonah learned from the experience, I imagine he would gladly have gone back and just followed God's call in the first place. Jonah's story is a message from God. And God is saying, I have plans for all of you. Plans I want you to fulfill. And you need to follow my lead. God wanted someone to preach to Nineveh. And God chose Jonah to do the preaching. And in the end, long story short, that's what happened. And all of Jonah's rebellion ended in nothing. And he helped to save a very wicked city from destruction. But what about those people who have wandered off? What about the people who have forgotten about God, who have rejected him, or who have walked away? Well, there's a second message in the story of Jonah. If you do wander from God's plan, you can always come back. Now, I'm sure you have all done something to disobey your parents. Mom told you to do something and you did the opposite. Or Dad said, come here, and you went there. And when you disobey your parents, you get in trouble, and oftentimes you get punished. And it can be scary, can't it? Well, God shows us in the story of Jonah that when we disobey God, God will forgive us. Now, we may have to suffer the consequences, just like Jonah did, but God will help us to get back on track. See, God has a plan for our lives, and the shortest way to fulfill that plan is to follow Jesus. But even if you turn around and you run the other way, God can forgive you. He will help you turn around, and He will set you back on the right course. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you back here next week.
today's service. And at the conclusion of each week, we're giving out a digital badge if you watch the service. And we want to see how many of these digital badges you can collect. Today's badge looks like this. Can you guess why we chose this one?